Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very revealing clip, and it's a good example of kind of where liberalism is, not only in Europe, which is Europe's been ravaged by Islam and the acceptance of all of that, and the destroying of the culture within those countries because of the liberalism acceptance. Well, now we're trying to combat it and fight back against it here in the United States. But you can see in this clip, why should I give an F about some law that some old white man passed in the 1920s? And I believe this is in relation to the deportation. I'm actually not sure if that's what this is, but obviously there's been a lot of talk about the deportations and how they're not being done right and how there's been mix-ups and things like that, which is just total gaslighting. Donald Trump won in part because the country got more conservative from 2016 to 2024 on deporting anyone, yes, anyone that's illegal. And so Biden lets in 10, 15, 20 million illegals. They wouldn't even give the number because it was so many. And they're saying, well, you got this one illegal. They're not actually this criminal or part of this gang, and you deported them to a maximum security prison. How dare you, when there's like 30 million illegals in the country? If you don't want us to make mistakes on deporting certain illegal immigrants the right way, maybe you shouldn't let in 20 million illegals. You ever think of that? Oh no, that's your strategy on how you win elections. I'm sorry, you can't do that. But let's see what this person has to say here. This is just CNN liberalism. Screw white men, they're terrible. We're not gonna listen to any of them. We will profit off of what they created in terms of the most powerful country ever, but we have to go away from them. That's why the demographic shift in the United States is happening. This is modern liberalism. They hate the United States in general. It's just like Ilhan Omar, who just comes out and says, yeah, I don't like the country, but she gets an elected spot. It's a sign of a failing nation when people like that are elected into leadership roles. And I know it's just a district with her, but still, this is like the modern Democrat Party. This is, I mean, according to his standard, why should we care about the 13th, the 14th Amendment, the 19th Amendment? These were all passed by white men, but it's even deeper than that. They hate, and there's this nausea that comes with white men for the liberal party. They cannot stand it. They want to change our country. They've already changed it through immigration. We know that. But this is just an eye-opening clip that shows you that they really don't care about any standard, and they only reference the see, isn't it funny how they reference the Constitution when it comes to Trump doing certain things, but I guess they want to tear the Constitution up. They're talking about not caring about any laws passed by white men. And of course, the country was founded by white Protestant Christians. Back in the 1700s, they were settlers, they weren't immigrants, and then the immigrants that we got were all white Europeans, of course. But no, he's right, I'm wrong, I'm the racist one. Let's see what he has to say here.
One of the laws you write about is playing out right now, the Immigration and Nationality Act.
I'm sorry, this is The View. This is not CNN. There's another clip that's CNN. I got it confused.
Now, this administration is using this statute to justify the detentions and possible deportations, actually.
This was about immigration, too, which is, you would think, the biggest mandate ever for Trump, considering the shift. I'm going to let this play, but I just want people to understand. We went from a country that said, well, yes, back in 2016, it was even getting more liberal back in 2016 when it comes to immigration and Trump trying to ramp it up. If you go back and listen to what Obama and Hillary said in 2008, they were like, yeah, get all these illegals out of here, especially the ones that committed crimes. In 2016, we had shifted a little bit to the left to where people were like, well, the ones that committed crimes, yes, but not all of them. If they're here illegally, if they're working, they can stay. And then we got new polling in 2024, and 60% of the country is like, all the illegals need to be deported. And so they're trying to deport these people. And by the way, Trump is getting serious heat from conservatives because he hasn't deported enough people. And now he's also getting heat from the left for, I guess, they deported someone to the wrong jail. It's like, these are all illegal immigrants. They all got to go back. Yeah, listen, if you don't want us to deport people to the wrong prison or the wrong country, don't let them in the country in the first place. But again, that's part of their strategy in terms of population within certain states, elevating it. And they have, remember, under Biden's plan with the Venezuelans and the Haitians and the Nicaraguans, they had a plan to, they brought in like 500K, and that's why Trump said, we have to get these people out. This is ridiculous. It's about 580,000 immigrants that were here temporarily that they wanted. There was a pathway to citizenship for them easier. They wanted it to fast track the citizenship so they could vote. But so they're referencing something. It's like, we want the deportations. We're trying to deport these people. You've given us this economy, high interest rates, high inflation. There's like 70 million illegals running around. We're trying to deport these people. You know that you kind of have an infrastructure you have to build up to be able to deport these people. And they're like, oh, they got one of them wrong. They deported one. Well, why was he let into the country? So see, but let's play this.
Of Visa and Green card holders who they seem to deem a threat to U.S. foreign policy. What do you make of the administration's use of the act? And more broadly, is Trump really setting up a First Amendment showdown, which is what Whoopi's been talking about?
Yes, absolutely. One of my premises for the book is that every law passed before the 1965 Voting Rights Act should be presumptively unconstitutional. Right? But because before the 1965 Voting Rights Act, we were functionally...
Why not just every law passed by white people unconstitutional? I mean, that's basically what it is with these people, trust me.
An apartheid country. Yeah. Not everybody who lived here could vote here. So why should I give about some law that some old white man passed in the 1920s?
Like the 13th Amendment? Like the 14th Amendment? Like birthright citizenship? So see how ridiculous it is, and they pick and choose, but it just goes to show you these people do not care about the country's history. They don't care about our evolution. They don't care about our founding fathers. That's why when you go back and you see some of these statues coming down, we remember during BLM, they wanted to tear down all the statues, the George Washington stuff, the memorials. This is really why, because they have no respect for our country's history. This is the CNN clip where these idiots just expose themselves, and this is good. CNN accidentally admits it. Soros is okay because he hides in the shadows, which is worse, by the way. Rather than being open, hiding in the shadows so you don't face any blame or there's no punishment for you, but you're constantly meddling and manipulating elections with big money. These idiots at this round table can't seem to understand that. And CNN accidentally admits it. Yeah, no, it is true. So you know how it is, but let's see.
And then go on about saving humanity. It's just an ego trip.
Well, what's interesting about it is you heard anytime anybody brings this up, a Republican will say, well, what about J.B. Pritzker, and what about George Soros, and what about this, what about that?
And by the way, this happens every single election, and it happened this election too, because I saw the data. I saw some tweets on this. The Democrats outspent big bad billionaire. I mean, the liberals think Elon Musk is like this god who can just control all the elections. But Democrats outspent him in this Wisconsin Supreme Court race, which was very important. That's why Musk campaigned on it. But it just goes to show you how ridiculous this all is. Even in a race, because we know in terms of the fear-mongering with Elon Musk and the election and him giving $250 million, and how crazy is that? If you know the context of funds and financing political campaigns, liberals every single year, including as we see in off years, spend more, sometimes times 5 more than conservatives. It's especially when it comes to the midterms, and especially when it comes to the general election. You look at Trump versus Kamala, she got, I think, 5 times more money, like 3 times more. It's crazy. And so like the idea that they would continue to use this and say that, oh, it's, you know, the fact that Elon Musk is out campaigning, I mean, obviously it might have even hurt Schimmel, who lost by a decent margin. It was not a good performance, and that's another story for another day. But it's like it's better to hide in the shadows and use little puppets. And I mean, you've got Alex Soros going around taking trophy photos and then hanging, like he takes photos with all the people that he buys. That's the whole ritual. I mean, you can see all the photos of him because his dad's like too old now, so he's taking over. And he's got all the photos with AOC, with Crockett, Tim Waltz, obviously Kamala. But no, that's better to hide in the shadows rather than be transparent and open about it and actually participate like Elon Musk is doing. But it just goes to show you how ridiculous, even in a race like this, which is an off-year election, Supreme Court race in Wisconsin, and Elon Musk is involved campaigning, the Democrats were still able to outspend Republicans. And they're still fear-mongering that Musk is manipulating elections with money. And remember, this goes back to 2020 when Zuckerberg gave $400 million and used his platform to manipulate an October surprise and take it off the internet. So this is after all of it. Wait, when did Elon Musk use X after buying it to take away an October surprise that was negative against Trump? Oh, it never happened. Huh. That's funny. Let's see what these people say.
And I guess the answer is you don't see George.
I didn't
first
see
of all,
George Soros in
you don't see them out there talking.
No.
Right? I mean, they might be giving money to organizations, this and that. And
Oh, you don't know. They would never do that.
people can criticize that
They
if
all
they
do.
want.
They all
But the idea that, like, oh no, I am going to tell these voters, forget like hiring Scott Walker to do it or
Right.
or somebody on the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm going to tell them.
Right. No, he has to suck up all the oxygen. There's only one other person that needs more attention, is Donald Trump. And
Right, and so that's it. That's with liberals. It's the Elon derangement syndrome versus the Trump derangement syndrome. With that lady, she's got both of them, so they're fighting each other. She's like, oh, the only one that sucks up more oxygen is Donald Trump. Oh yeah, Donald Trump's the president of the United States. Yeah, I don't think he really cares about. I mean, obviously he's extremely popular, but it's like these people get diagnosed with TDS and now it's EDS and now it's a combination of the two, and it's just like you can't handle all of it. But I mean, the idea that they would say that, I mean, and this is after they won, and they won this race very easily, by the way, the Democrats did, and it was not a good performance for the Republicans, and these off-year elections, it's not good. And, you know, it's another video for another day, but it does come down to, I'm sure you guys have seen the criticisms on where the party is, the Republican Party, in terms of, Scott Jennings was talking about it on CNN, low propensity, not showing up for anyone outside of Trump. You've got a little bit of a situation to where it's just people are not politically inclined on the Republican side to really have the political awareness that to know that these elections are going on. But this could be an issue. We'll see if Republicans counter with a redrawing of their own in terms of the districts, because the Democrats are probably going to it's going to be a 4-seat swing because they're going to gain 2. Republicans are going to lose 2. That we've also got this clip. You can see, this is, you're more concerned about one guy that was deported than the millions of people that were let in illegally. Right. And so it's like, you really can't win with these people. That's what I've realized. There's just no winning. Donald Trump wins after saying that he was going to deport. Donald Trump promised mass deportations. He has not delivered on that promise, but they're still not happy. He's still deporting to like he is so far under the number. And now you've got like, oh, one person was deported, you know, they messed, I guess they have made a mistake on one person. Well, yes, we've got a previous administration that let in 20 million illegals. There's going to be mistakes. If you don't want there to be mistakes, don't let in the illegals. Trump's trying to clean up your mess. So that's really what it comes down to. And nobody's going to listen to these sob stories about an illegal getting sent to the wrong country or whatever. Yeah, it's a mistake. There's 20 million illegals. What do you want us to do? I mean, if you don't want there to be mistakes to where illegals get sent to the wrong place, don't bring the illegals in. That's part of their game plan. They have to bring them in. So now it's the puppy dog tears, and you know they don't care about any of these people. They just care about scoring a point on Trump and saying, oh, how dare you? It's like the Signal messages and stuff like that. And they tried to say, well, Signal wasn't secure when it's everybody uses it, and it wasn't even like they gave up any information in that. But then they got the double standard when you compare that. They're like, oh, hegsets should be gone. Waltz should be gone. And then you compare it to the Afghanistan situation, but we're not allowed to do that because then it's just whataboutism. That's all it is. We can't do it. So we have to take it. Okay. And I said it was a bad look for the administration. But it is ridiculous how there's no accountability with Biden's administration. But then when there's one slip up within the Trump administration, it's automatically Hegseth must be gone. Waltz must be gone. Everyone must be gone. And it's funny to see the hypocrisy in terms of that, but we can't do that because then it's whataboutism, right? Okay. But either way, guys, that's just the situation. It's very revealing. These people, it's like all the racist white men in the 1900s, all the laws that they passed, get rid of all of it. We're going to reshape the country. It's just like when socialists say they want the United States to transform into a socialist society and we need to tax the ultra rich at extremely high rates. Well, the only way you could do that and generate significant tax revenue is because the country is capitalist. That's the only reason those people make the amount of money that they do, for you to be able to generate taxes off of them. And let me tell you, that's not going to last for very long. And it's the same thing with this. This country's been created, the #1 GDP in history, the most powerful country by far since the 1950s. But we're terrible, and we need to change the entire fabric of the country. And I mean, it already has changed. We know that through the immigration. It is what it is. And you can see Europe. Europe, it seems like, is already too far gone because Europe is more liberal. And the problem now is Europe is, obviously none of these people care about democracy. It's all a front. They all say it. Just when democracy is convenient for them, they care about protecting it. But when they have full control, and you've got a country that's like 65, 70% liberal, we've seen this in several countries in Europe. They will just ban a conservative candidate, label them far right. Meanwhile, the conservative candidate's like, hey, maybe all this immigration, maybe we should cut it down a little bit. You're far right. You're a Nazi. You're going to get banned. We're going to imprison you in a fishing expedition. And they tried to do it with Trump. We see what happened to Le Pen, who was leading in polls, although the French election's not until 2027. Remember, they tried doing it with Trump. The country is not liberal enough for them to do it. If we were 60% liberal, Trump would be in jail right now. There's no doubt. But it's just not liberal enough for it to happen. I mean, they tried, only time we've ever seen it, elevating 34 misdemeanor charges. They clobbled 3 different, if you remember what they did with with that trial and the jurors, they cobbled like 3 different guilty pleas on 3 different things. It was just a complete mess on how they were able to come up with the idea that he was a convicted felon. And of course, the district in which that trial was being taken place is like 90% liberal. But no, it was totally legitimate, totally real. There's Alvin Bragg only said he was going to go get Trump and hold him accountable, and that's why they elected him. But it's not a kangaroo court, no. And they almost got it. I mean, the country's just not liberal enough for it to happen. In Europe, it is. That's why they're banning these conservative candidates left and right. They care about democracy when they win. But when they lose, then it's like, well, and they tried doing it in the United States. It just didn't work because we're not liberal enough. But that's just the reality of that. But either way, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.